Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode from the Copilot Chronicle series. My name is Rashmita, and I am the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. I'm here today joined by our very own host, Kamal, and our special guest speaker, Dinesh. But before we start the session, I would request you all to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section is open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. Our speaker will answer all your questions during the session, so please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. With this, let me bring in Kamal into the stream and thank you all once again for joining and enjoy the session. Over to you, Kamal.
Hi, thanks, Rashmita. So, good evening, everyone. Thanks again for joining for another episode of Copilot Chronicles. Thank you so much for all the overwhelming response that we've been receiving and the people showing enthusiasm with a lot of interesting topics that they're suggesting and a lot of interest of stating that they would like to be a part of this series. So, thank you so much. We're definitely considering everybody because this episode or this series is all about uh, knowing about what's happening in the Copilot bubble and sharing your knowledge, whether it in terms of the tech stack or in terms of the language behind it, or any product or use cases, or even the errors that we would like to discuss. Because at the end of the day, as a developer, when you're working, you might have been stuck with a similar error, right? So, how did you kind of solve it? What were the solutions that you tried, and how did you kind of tackle it? So the series is all about it, discussing, sharing, connecting, and exploring. So without further ado, let me introduce today's topic where until now we've been talking about Copilot. We're seeing the visual part of it, where the prompt, the moment I enter the prompt with these filters, I get the response. What I can do using Copilot, whether how to create a custom Copilot, what are the benefits of it, how it makes a job easy, the automation part. But nobody spoke about, I mean, everybody gave a very little glimpse about it, but nobody got or dwelled deep into the behind the scenes of it. That is the artifacts, the challenges of converting the natural language into the queries, because in the back end, this is what is happening, which is then kind of transformed into your visual part. That is what we see as a user, the prompt, the responses, all the part. So today we have Dinesh, the product manager from Kisflow, who's been almost 11 years into B2B SaaS industry. And he has a strong passion towards data, analytics, AI, and kind of getting into this low code, no code environment mode. So he's going to kind of discuss about the extensive research part of the SQL queries, the natural language interfaces integrated into the database. So today's session is going to be a very different, not like the usual slides. He's going to get into the real world tools, real world exploration part of it. So without further ado, Dinesh, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Kamal.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of Copilot Chronicle series. So yeah, this the day is yours. Please go ahead, and we're looking forward to see what interesting do you have to discuss and learn from yours.
sure, Kamal, sure.
Thank you.
So I'll share my screen. It will be entire screen. Give me a minute. Yes, I hope my screens are visible. Is my screen visible, Kamal?
Yes, Dinesh, I can
Yes.
see.
Okay, yeah. Yes, as Kamal gave an intro, rather than product demos, which which will be able to understand from anywhere, like uh, uh, from the product showcase or any kind of sessions like this. I thought to do something different. What is the underlying things, underlying real challenges that exist in Copilot actually, right? So a single search box could be looking very simple. When we say www.google.com, it is going to just show the single text box, right? User types in something and he gets the relevant result, but behind the screens millions of things are happening. Likewise, the same in this Copilot also. Power Platform has very powerful Copilot, but how this transition is happening, how Copilot is able to convert the natural language statements which we give to something productive based on the tool, right? So for today, let me just dive deep into how this natural language conversation or text is being converted to insights. Okay, why I use the word insights is ultimately it is going to be an information. For example, let us say Kamal, she is running this Copilot Chronicles for a so and so period of time, right? So at some point of time, she would need to understand how this is going well, right? So for this, how Kamal would be doing, what are all the steps Kamal would be taking? She might be extracting the data from YouTube, how many videos, how many sessions that has been published, how many attendees have registered, how many sessions are being available in YouTube, and the number of views, the number of likes, and the type of comments, and any other direct feedbacks which users are giving. All these are collected set of information. Let us assume that Kamal has collected all those information and she is using Power BI. Okay, and of course we all know that in Power BI we'll be able to connect different data sources. We'll be able to create reports, pie charts, table, pivot, and all those things. Fine, but just think from Kamal's angle. Instead of curating all these reports, right? Before creating reports, something else Kamal need to do. First, he need to do the data modeling very well, right? Because the same session which you are attending, it has been registered via meetup.com, but it has been hosted in YouTube. So it is going to be two different data sources. So first, these two data sources need to be joined together via some kind of a primary key, right? So Kamal first need to do those data modeling part, and then only she need to create report. Again, create report. She need to create a tabular report, session, number of attendees, number of people who turned up, number of likes, number of positive comments, number of negative comments. You need to prepare all those things, right? Rather, just Kamal is asking, hey, how about the last? Can you summarize the last 3 months sessions? What are all the sessions that went very well? What are all the sessions that didn't went well? Which session has the most response in YouTube? Which session has most registrations but not didn't have much attendees? Like that, if Kamal is able to converse with the data, then she will be able to get more insights. Even though a person like Kamal or someone who is technically good, who can create the data model or who can create a report, but the power of natural language takes the picture to a greater level, right? So today it is going to be um, an underlying discussion how such a kind of natural language to insights the system is working, what are all the challenges, and how the such challenges can be overcome, right? So with that, yes, this is me. Professionally, I work as product manager in a company called Kissflow for the reports and analytics module. On the other side, from on the community side, I'm a Microsoft MVP for the data platform category. So yes, uh, everybody are now using ChatGPT. There is no meaning of asking how many of you are using ChatGPT or Claude or any such kind of tools. Everybody is using, definitely. So those ChatGPT are all the tools. They have redefined the Google search, right? Of course, many of you have reduced the Google search and started to use ChatGPT. Like, hey, there is some there is a new project that is coming up in blockchain, but I'm a front end developer. I don't have much idea of blockchain. Can you help me? ChatGPT is able to give answer in terms of that persona, right? So this is general data analysis. Likewise, OCR. Earlier, if some information is available in PDF or if an invoice is available in PDF, either the user has to manually do the digital entry into his system, or there were some extensive and expensive tools which helps to extract the information from PDF and load it into a respective form. But again, with the advancement of LLM, with the advancement of generative AI, that extraction of data from any kind of file became much easier, right? That is why you are able to upload a PDF, ask questions to ChatGPT, and you are able to get answers. Likewise, um, data analytics space is also evolving into a new angle. What I mean by data analytics is there is there is raw data somewhere, and there will be a set of people who first model the data, like establishing the joins, doing the cleanups, those all those kind of ETL stuffs, and there will be another set of people who create reports based on the target persona. The target persona could be end users or a team lead or a CEO or a manager. So based on the target persona, there will be someone who creates reports and another set of users who will consume the reports. They'll just play around the dashboard, click the filters, uh, 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 click the overall filters, click on the report, and doing all the stuff. This overall space is also changing, right? So how Google search is changing towards ChatGPT way of getting information. The same way, this data analytics also is getting changed. It is not something like connect to a data source, upload your data, prepare the data model, create report, publish report, share report. This is the typical journey. But if you if you literally ask someone who comes after 5 years into the industry, right? They don't even I'm just expecting that they don't even remember, or they don't even think on a first angle that this is going to be the action. It's not going to be that connecting the data, creating report, pull the chart report, configure measure, configure dimension. It's not going to be the first place of thing. It is going to be how can I better ask questions. Okay, this is the data, what is the requirement, what are the questions I can ask, how better I can get the answers. That is what going to be the first set of questions that is going to come for the future generation, right? So yeah, and yeah, one more thing, guys. As a disclaimer, let me just state that whatever the tools I'm going to show now is everything to understand the concept better. There is nothing like I'm promoting one tool or discouraging another tool. There is nothing like that. It is just every other tool which I'm going to show is just for making the concept understand better. Okay. Yeah, so that is my disclaimer. With that, let me just proceed. Yeah, fine. So why do I say that data analytics is evolving and it is traversing into a new angle, right? Before going to that, let us try to understand the problem first. First, during the 2010 year, around that time, mostly who are in the industry at that time, you would definitely remember this big data boom, right? So there were Hadoop is coming, Spark was coming. So everybody were telling that okay, now storing or analyzing very big data is going to be very easy. It's not. It is going to be a killer thing, right? Many it was to a very big height at that point of time, right? Yes, it has failed to some extent, but what became possible is collection of humongous amount of data, storing humongous amount of data literally became possible with commodity software. Okay, so before that it was almost like GBs of data, but after 2010 the amount of data generation became enormous, and also we as people started to pay for products with data. That is why we are able to get softwares like WhatsApp or Google for free of cost, right? So due to all these things, the amount of data that is getting generated has become humongous. And this big data technology stream was able to create a system to store all those data. Okay, yes, okay, storing is fine, but what after that? Just with storing the data, it's not going to be enough, right? The insight has to be generated from that data, right? So that became an not fully solved problem. It was able to do better in some extent, but not fully solved. Okay, because if you just imagine the theme of big data itself, you will be able to store structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data all in one place, with a cheap storage cost and all those things. But what is the use of that? You need a collective mechanism where you can get the insight among all the relative data, or even though it is of different types. Okay, just one thing that comes into my mind is, let us take Iron Man movie. Okay, Avengers movie. In that, when Iron Man's character was introduced, Iron Man would simply ask the Jarvis, which is supposed to be the AI agent over there, right? So he'll be asking like, "Hey, what is the status of Hulk? Where is Hulk?" Right? Immediately there will be a screen popping up. It will be showing like, Hulk has traveled to so and so places, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is nothing but a tabular data, textual data, structured data, right? It will be showing, and on a screen next to that, it will be showing some video clips. Hulk has did so and so devastations in respective areas, and respective data loss has happened. It is something that it is able to pick the relevant video file on the same stream, same relevant for the question, and it is able to display. And it's also able to display the amount that it has incurred as damage. Maybe it could have fixed from some news, public information or something. But just imagine something like that. Just storing the data is not enough. A system should be there, which should be accessible, and it should be able to fetch insights across multiple types of data. What multiple types of data? Structured, semi-structured, and unstructured as well. The relevancy should be matching across all types of data. Okay, so once again, I don't say that it has not happened. It has happened, and a lot of new concepts have emerged, which we call as data lakehouse, data fabric, and those concepts have been coming up even before this generative AI as well. But it is not fully optimized, or not able to be adoptable by many people. It was able to be adoptable by very few enterprises only. Okay, so with that, let me just come back to the concept. What is that data analytics getting transformed into new angle? Okay, so let me just show a couple of demos with Power BI, how it was being there before, and what Power BI is promising with Copilot in future. Okay, so I'll just switch towards this. Yeah, so I hope people are able to see my Power BI screen. This is just a very sample sales data, which you can imagine, right? So okay, instead of this, I'll just share in such a format itself. So it is fairly sales data: order ID, order name, shipping details, customer ID, customer name, what is the order he placed, how much sales amount, and all those basic steps. Okay, so I have this data. Okay, I uploaded into Power BI. What next? Power BI already have this feature, something called as auto create report. Okay, if I click on this, it will directly create the report. That's all. It will not be asking us anything else. Whatever I say now is what that are present already. It has been there for a few years. Okay, so it has simply created a report for me. It didn't ask me for whom it need to create. Like, I might be a sales manager, or I might be a CEO, or I might be a sales executive, end level sales executive, right? So it didn't ask me any persona. Based on the data that is available, it has directly just produced the data. Okay, so if you see here, it has populated a couple of charts, because in most cases the date will be in the x-axis, and something like a number format will be in the y-axis, right? But in this case, if you could see, it is showing me as count of postal code, right? So postal code is something that it is a postal code. Like, for example, if it is Chennai, it is 600003. um, there is no use of postal code here, right? Maybe if it would have produced me something like over the year what is the sales has happened, like something. Even this is relevant. Over the year, what how many orders has been placed over the year, how many unique product that has been ordered, something like it has produced. But it is also of course, AI is all about hallucination. So okay, this is not AI, this is before AI. So this ML engine is able to create reports to some basic level. That's all, right? So coming back, uh, now when there is already this feature, why something like Copilot is needed for Power BI at all, right? So for that question, once again, the answer is users context is needed, the target user persona is needed, and many other factors are there, right? Only then the set of reports that has generated will be making useful for the person. Okay, so there are few other set of features are also there. So which you could see the something like yeah, get insights. From this chart, if I click on get insights, it will simply fetch me a set of anomalies, right? So this seems to be normal, but sudden spike seems to be an anomaly. Likewise, a sudden dip was also seems to be an anomaly. That is what it is showing me. So there are two anomalies, one in 2017 and 2018, right? Or other way, I can also ask it to summarize the data, right? Summarize this whole chart. So there are a couple of features in this, right? So what I'm going to do is, now let me show what you have with respect to Copilot. Okay, what Microsoft has promised in Power BI as Copilot is, it will be able to provide better answer for business users, whoever the person is asking, and whatever the question he is asking. Okay, so apologies, I'm not able to show Copilot in real using Power BI, because I haven't got access to that so far. So let me try to show it with the maximum, with the uh, 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 documentation which Power BI itself has, right? So if you see here, there is already a dashboard, and there is something called as Copilot here, and the end user is asking like, hey, can you summarize visuals on this page? Okay, so something like I mentioned an example with using Kamal, right? Just by giving the data, if Kamal is asking, hey, summarize the entire data and give me a report of how this 3 months of 50 sessions has performed, right? If she expects something like that, she can simply ask a question like that, and the behind the screen AI, Gen AI, Copilot will be checking through all the data, and it will be giving you a summary. So this is one thing. And another thing is, um, it can also suggest you additional set of reports. For example, this is again a sales data. There are few set of reports, something like say sales amount by country, sales amount by category, and all those things. Copilot will be able to suggest you additional reports which are relevant to these set of KPIs. Okay, so this is another feature. And one another feature is, so it can be a narrative as well. So you can create a narrative and you can place that narrative within the dashboard itself. It can itself be a widget. Okay, so there might be some case like the end user, let's say Kamal is preparing and Kamal is sharing this dashboard to her reporting person. Her reporting person might not be having complete patience or time to read through all this data, but rather Kamal's reporting person can ask a set of questions. Hey, give me an executive summary. Whether this 3 months Copilot Chronicles have performed well or not. How can we improve Copilot Chronicles? How can we allocate more budget for this? How can we bring in more speakers? Like that, the executive can ask, right? So that is one thing. And yeah, this I okay. Now I have mentioned like okay, Power BI is able to prepare you insights and all those steps. Okay, that is one side. On the other side, how come Power BI will be able to know Kamal's context? Kamal, right? Kamal is a person who is working in Microsoft in a designation, right? So how come Power BI will be able to know? Because Power BI is a very neutral tool which just know to see the data, to allow user to play with the data, to convert the data into set of visual, right? So to make Kamal's personal preferences or the expectation to Power BI, there need to be some layer in between, right? So that is what this synonyms to enhance the Q&A. Okay, so there is already a widget called as Q&A. I'll just show it now. This is available again. This is available since a couple of years. I don't think even before Gen A also it is there. Even in this time itself, there was something that you'll be able to query via natural language. So if I click on all these prompts are auto selected based on my data. Okay, so if I just click on this total profit over time, yes, it is able to understand the context behind it, the semantics behind it, the columns which need to be fetched, and it is able to select the chart type, and it is able to configure the chart by itself, right? So many things it is doing. Let us try one more prompt. Maybe I'll just select this one, average discount for each city. See, now it has changed to a bar chart, not a line chart anymore, because if it is a timeline range, then line chart makes sense. If it is a dimension or something like city, country, or so, then it should be something like a column chart, right? Now it is able to do auto prepare the charts for me, right? So this is already existing. How come this can be improvised, right? How come this can be made improvised so that it can perform very well based on the natural language questions? So for this, something Power BI has enhanced this Q&A widget into something called as synonyms. So within that Q&A widget, you will be able to mark certain columns and make it to include in Q&A, and you can also give description for those semantic model measures. Okay, so yeah, of course, current Copilot, even the upcoming Copilot which is going to get released is also has some limitations, but let us keep it aside. Let us understand more about how this Copilot can perform, and how the end user get result better. Okay, so yeah, now we have seen Copilot. Now I'll jump on to the chat GPT. Okay, so allow me to open up chat GPT. Yeah, I'll probably open a new chat. Yes, so what I'm going to do is just going to paste, maybe we can paste 10 rows of data. This can be in multiple ways. This need not be in I'm just pasting it directly. Even uploading a CSV also will work. Okay, So I have just uploaded the data. Now ChatGPT is able to understand what each row is, what each column is, right? So row ID, order ID, and all those things. It is automatically creating a description of each column. Okay. um, Maybe in this case, if I want to change the description, right, I can tell right away to ChatGPT that, oh, hey, don't understand it this way, understand it in a different way. Okay, for example, mm, I think everything is correct, but simply you can mention, hey, uh, order date is something that order date is not the date order was placed. I'm just reiterating what ChatGPT has understood. Understand that order date is when a user added the item to cart. My statement is absolutely wrong, I know that, but just for demo purpose, I'm just showing this. So because of course, the database and the column names in a company will not be very proper. Sometimes the person who analyzes the data only knows what kind of column it is, right? So that is why once I have mentioned it, it has updated itself with summary that, okay, I'll change my understanding to this. Okay, fine. Now let me just open this Power BI again, right? Everybody who are in the technical side and who are into the data analytics side, they know that if some kind of chart need to be built like this, underlying this there will be a SQL query, right? So yeah, I hope everybody are agreeing, right? If some kind of data analysis need to be done, for example, this count of postal code, the underlying SQL query would be select count of postal code from superstore, the as a typical SQL query, a SQL 92 SQL query, right? That will be the case. But in this era, and information like this, or a visual like this, need not be come from just the SQL query alone. It can even be generated by LLM also, right? So the possibility of getting answer from data can be of two different types. One is via SQL query, and another one is LLM creates it. Okay. Now let us take these two pictures. With that, let us see first how a SQL query can be generated with the LLM itself, right? Create a SQL query to evaluate total sales by segment and subcategory. Okay. So once I gave that, it is generating me a SQL query itself. Okay. So but here if you see, for some reason it is giving me the square braces over here, right? So there are chances that we can confuse the generative AI with a natural language statement to produce incorrect queries as well, right? And also this SQL query might be or might not be working in the target database, right? So the target database can be a SQL database, or it can be a PostgreSQL, or it can be a what to say, some other MySQL or Snowflake, whichever it may be, right? So there are chances it might fail, right? Now I'll ask another question. Just give me the answer uh, sales by segment. That's all. Now let us see what it produces. Okay, once again it is giving me the SQL query. Evaluate and give me the answer. Don't give me SQL query. So what it does is, behind the screen, being generative AI, it is first picking up all the relevant data and then summarizing, and it is giving me a summary. Okay, so it is giving me a summary that uh, the total sales is so and so in consumer segment and in corporate segment, right? So yeah, now you are able to understand, right? The data can be the insight or answer can be evaluated from via two ways. One is by producing the SQL query and passing the SQL query to the database and get answer. Or the other way is directly ask the AI to evaluate and get back the result. Okay, so these are the two ways. Now we cannot be very sure that whatever the answer that this AI has produced is correct, right? Because this SQL query for a very simple question that I have asked, it is able to give. But what about the complex query, complex question, right? So there are many scenarios. This generation of SQL query from natural language will fail, right? So that is what this white paper is all about, which you will be able to find it in the meetups link as well. This has been combinedly did by a couple of Microsoft people, Microsoft research team, and a company called a startup, something called as Y. Okay, WAI. So Microsoft and Y together has published this white paper. So there are actually say many white papers are there. So personally, I like this white paper very much because it has clearly mentioned what are all the complexities in evaluating an accurate SQL query from natural language. Okay, so I request you to check this white paper from your side in a detailed way. I'll also be available in LinkedIn. You can reach out to me in case of any questions. On the other side, let us try to demystify this whole white paper in an understandable diagrammatic way. Okay, so Kamal, I'll take a quick stop here. Can I proceed or?
Yes, yes, Dinesh. You can proceed. Unless
Fine.
you want to take a break and take a question or something like that.
Okay, fine. So, having said that, let us coming to a picture. Okay, user is going to ask something in natural language. Okay, it could be of a, a pharmaceutical related project, or it could be of a construction project, or it could be of a healthcare project, whatever it may be. A particular user is going to ask some question in natural language, and what the user is expecting is he is expecting a correct result. Okay, now let us take a pharmaceutical company, and a guy in the manufacturing sector. He is asking, hey, what is the turnaround time of so and so drug in last month? Okay, the expected result what he is expecting is the natural language, or that AI engine should be able to return that, hey, the drug let us say paracetamol has to the total turnaround time, or the average turnaround time was let us say 7 days in last month. And the natural language or that AI engine or Copilot will be asking again, hey, the last month is 7 days. Do you want to know what is the average turnaround time of this month? Right? That is what the difference an AI can make. Once again, if you can imagine with Iron Man's Jarvis, or the the Tamil movie, right? The Rajini's movie, Robot. So it will be interactive, right? So just imagine in that context, to understand better. So for now, there is going to be three possibilities. One is for a natural language question. it might be giving the expected result, which is correct result, or for the natural language question, the AI will not be knowing the answer, so it might be saying, it might be producing no answer, right? But it can be of different types. One is invalid question, right? For example, if what to say, if that AI is being asked with a question that is not trained at all, that AI doesn't have any context at all, it will be saying as invalid question, right? And another thing is, when it is really into enterprises, this authorization layer is very important, because not all the data will be accessible to everyone, right? One table might be accessible, even in that one table certain columns might be accessible, and certain columns might not be, right? So all such kind of authorization layer will be present in the Power BI semantic model. So in case the user asks a question which he is not supposed to ask, it will be replying that, hey, you are not authorized to ask this. Or in other way, there might be case that he is asking some question which is involving two tables. For one table he have access, for one table he don't have access. Then the AI engine might say that, hey, you don't have access to this table, but you have but you have access to one table. Do you want me to proceed and give me the answer with this table alone, or you go and get authorization for this table, I'll give you answer. Like that, it can be interactive. So this is for no answer, right? So what about the third category? The third category is all about the creative thing, right? So if you go to chat gpt or a tool something like dali, hey, create an image where a parrot is wearing a space suit. If you are mentioning that, of course, uh, the tool, something like dali, or any tool like midjourney will be able to create that image for you. It is creative thing, which is okay, because it might be 90% perfect, or 70% perfect, or 80% perfect. The end user might like, or to the worst case, end user will not get screwed up, right? Whereas when it comes to data analytics, especially like a matured tool like Power BI, when it is giving something like Copilot, either it should be deterministic and give proper answer, or it should say that, hey, I don't get the question, right? So that level of maturity, tools like Power BI has the expectation, right? So now let us see that what are all that ambiguity cases, or partially correct cases. Okay, again, in this scenario there are two possibilities are there. One is the natural language might produce a runnable SQL query, but the answer might be partially correct. Okay, in that, we can segregate it into two types. One is ambiguity, and another one is semantic mismatch. Taking this ambiguity, let me tell this as a simple example. So the same answer might be existing in multiple tables, right? Even multiple places as well. If you see in this example, there might be a SQL view, or there might be an actual table itself, right? Let us say the sales table itself. What is the sales that has happened by department? It might fetch from a view, or it might fetch from a table, right? The AI will think that, hey, it has brought in from the proper source, but the user might be expecting to fetch from the actual table, not view, or vice versa, right? So this is a case. Uh, Same answer, but it can exist in multiple places, and multiple possible answers also is there is a scenario. For example, there is an ambiguity mapping to the DB value itself. For example, if an user is asking, hey, what is the sales that has happened in Los Angeles, then it would be resulting with a SQL query where it might include only California, or only Texas, or both, because city Los Angeles is present in both California and Texas, but the end user might be expecting only in Texas, or California, or both. The AI engine might not know, right? So ambiguity in natural language query itself, right? So for example, the user might be asking, hey, give me the details of all sales. That's all. But there are three possibilities are there. Whether he is expecting item ID, date, and price, or the user is expecting item name instead of item ID, because item ID will be unreadable format. So whether it should be an item name, date, or price, or if it is, since it is about details of all sales, whether it should be a summary of information, item name, sum of price, right? So users intent comprehension itself is very difficult. And on the other side, there is a chance of multiple possible answers as well. For example, consider some it is a support ticket data. It has been injected into Power BI, and someone is asking best employee handling support tickets. That's all. It is very vague, and it is very, it is having a meaning, it is having an intent, but it is not complete. It is very vague, right? What I mean by vague is, best employee itself is very tactical to company, right? Because if it is a support ticket in a SaaS product, the turnaround time, expected turnaround time might be different. If it is a support ticket created for a hardware product, something like AC or a fridge, or something like that, the turnaround time will be different. How an AI can respond, or rank between the employees, who would be best or something like that, right? So no one answer is right or wrong. Again, there will be an ambiguity. On the other side, there are incorrect results also possible, right? So incorrect result, what I mean is, the SQL query itself might be prepared in a different way instead of expected, right? For a very simple example would be, let us assume there is a singers table, and there are columns nothing but name, cause of death, and year. Okay, so in the singers table, actually the year column represents when the singer has published his first album. Okay, but just with relating, when it is LLM or generative AI, when it relates with singers table with all these three columns, it might even think something like, oh, okay, cause of death is there and year is there, then this year is nothing but the person when he died. That is what that LLM might be mapping. Okay, so this ambiguity mapping because of database schema also is possible, right? So of course there is semantic mismatch also there, but most of the questions, this will be very straightforward. For example, exactly mentioning a table which has HR data, asking LLM a finance related question, definitely the result will be wrong, right? In this case, the user itself might be doing the mistake knowingly or unknowingly, right? So these are all the different challenges that exist in converting the natural language into SQL query, right? So on the other side, converting this natural language into insights directly can be made possible by training it with proper data. Okay, so or giving the tool like Power BI with proper information, right? So what Power BI says is, it's okay. That's what I mentioned earlier. You need to give the synonym very perfectly. Okay, so what each column is all about, what each logo is all about, what each table is all about, and all those information. For this particular purpose alone, I'll open Zoho Analytics and show you how it behaves. Okay, so this is Zoho Analytics BI tool. In this BI tool, there will be something called as Zia. Like how Power BI has Copilot, you can compare it something like as Zia. So in Zia, you will be able to ask questions. Um, so something just randomly, I'm just giving a set of information, and it is able to understand my intent. Number of unique target levels and reorder level is 10 and 8, right? So it is able to understand the intent and produce. To improvise this accuracy, what Zia has a feature is, it is allowing the end users itself to manage the synonyms. It is asking the end users to give the synonym of what this table means, what this customer table means, right? So for example, as you see here, I have two different tables. One is order and order underscore ss. So if I can give both orders and orders ss as order related information data, but I can mention the AI engine to give highest priority to this order underscore ss and give lowest priority to this orders table, right? So next time when I ask any question, it will go on the first try to get the answers from order underscore ss table, right? So this is not just table. Even for every column, you will be able to give the synonym. Okay, order underscore ss table is fine. What is row id? The subject matter expert can explain this, right? So because it is not always going to be a sales data, right? Which any layman can understand. It could be of a very complex domain specific data, something like pharma or healthcare or anything like that, right? So in this case, again, I can mention the give the columns priority, and also by default what is the function it need to take, right? For example, sales, the default function would always be sum if I ask for total sales, or give me the sales figure, something like that. But if I give the default function as average, then whenever I ask for sales information, it would do an average of sales, right? So like this, it will be it is allowing the end users who are giving the data to a BI tool to give more information. Okay, so yeah, just give me a second, I'll show one more thing. All these things you'll be able to see in what to say, in the documentation set of things itself. I don't have a screenshot where Power BI allows to give such kind of information. Like you will be able to give establish the relationship between different columns. For example, ship date, how ship date and ship mode are related together, right? How order date and country are related together, right? So likewise the relation also can be mentioned, and that help there of course helps the Copilot to answer questions better. Okay, so that is on one side. And of course, I showed you the behind the skin how this insights are getting generated. One is via SQL generation, and another one is directly LLM will be able to give you insights instead of SQL generation. Why I mentioned these two options are being researched is SQL generation, whatever the context we give, still SQL generation will have certain set of limitations, because SQL is designed in a way that there should be a set of tables, and those tables need to be related with primary key foreign key relation, or one to many one to one relation, or in some kind of other way, right? So but the data that is getting stored has been evolved in a different ways, which you all know. Like it is not just structured data. We also have semi-structured data, which is stored in graph databases, or which is stored in JSON, something like MongoDB, Elastic, and all those things. Graph databases, where there will be nodes, and between the nodes, the relationship will be there, right? So, how about insights from all such data as well? That is where the power of LLM comes into picture, and that is where the semantic layer and the knowledge graph comes into picture. Okay, so I'll quickly show this one. Yeah. So this is something like there are data sources, data exists in data like CMS or external sources, and LLM sits in between and the end result, right? So just with the LLM, of course, there will be poor quality, there will be hallucination, and of course, it will not give us trust as well, right? The end user will not be having trust. Why should I go with the LLM? Let me go and directly create a report itself, like a traditional way. Whereas if there is a semantic layer is nothing but understanding, making the LLM to understand about the data to the nearest, right? So, hey, you have the data. This is about healthcare. Each column is all about this information. This table is related with this table in this way, something like that, right? So, how closer you are able to create that semantic layer, that much perfect, accurate results you will be able to get. Okay, I'll also show one more example. Yeah, so I was talking about relations, right? So I hope this data set many of you will be able to understand. It's a very simple library management. So book is a table, author is a table, year is a table, right? So how book is related with publisher? Every book will be having a publisher. Every book will be having an author. An author will be working with the publisher to publish the book, right? So that publisher might be an author itself. That is fine. But that a author can publish a book only by working with the publisher, right? So these are all some kind of establishing the relationship between tables, establishing the relationship between columns, and in that way, LLM will be able to understand it. So the same thing, each row, just imagine, To Kill a Mockingbird is a book which is being published by J.P. Lippincott and Company. Harper Key is the author. Harper Key worked with this company to publish this book. This company, the publisher is located in this area, whereas the author is located in the United States. Likewise, we train the Gen AI itself with the relevant context between the tables. So this is beyond mentioning the primary key, foreign key, one-to-one, many-to-one relationship. We provide the knowledge graph to the LLM itself. Okay, so once this is being done, the what to say, the researchers promise that the accuracy will be far more richer, and the way the tools are present itself might change in future. BI tools might be something like a Google search or chat GPT. It might look like something like a chatbot, or with the search box. User just types in the query and it is creating the report. If the user wants to save that report, he can save it somewhere. Once again, if you want the same kind of answer, if the same question is being asked, it might bring up the same report, or it might tweak the existing report. So whatever things, it's all in the hands of product building team, right? So this is where the LLM, tweaking the LLM is all about, right? So yeah, now I think I have mentioned the challenges and how the challenges are being tackled both with the LLM and both with the SQL generation and the LLM, right? So I think uh, that's it for me, Kamal.
Hi, Dinesh. Thank you so much, Dinesh. I think that was definitely something which I was also kind of very new and refreshing for me when I really looked into the example of the author and the city and how those data are getting connected. Now, on that line, I have one question. Now, what or how can we handle this ambiguous or incomplete queries in this NL2 SQL? How does it really handle those kind of queries?
Okay, so far nobody have assured that natural language to SQL query can be 100% accurate. Okay, but startups and even enterprises are doing continuous research how those ambiguities or that inaccuracies can be reduced just by
Mhm.
giving the SQL generation more context about the data, which I just mentioned over here, like mentioning about each column, mentioning about each table, which one to prioritize. This is one way. The other way is there should be a subject matter expert and a person who knows SQL query. Okay, so there should be both the persons. I just simply open a blog. this is a startup. So they have mentioned that how to bring up this accuracy, AI SQL accuracy. So what they have told is there should be somewhere. It is like the the query, sorry, the user's question and expected SQL query. User's question, expected SQL query. Like this, there should be a data set, and that data set should be trained with that AI.
Okay.
Okay, so that is what they would have mentioned here, giving the context with the expected SQL query itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because LLM or that AI engine is being bombarded with many databases, many information. What in
Mm-hmm.
case it mixes the syntax of PostgreSQL and Snowflake? We don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the same way, another possibility is what in case it might mix, it might generate a new column that is not present in the SQL,
Indeed, that
in the
was my
schema.
next question. What if it is does not exist? Yeah.
Exactly, hallucination.
Yeah.
Just for the readability if it is producing, right? So there are different kinds of tackling things, Kamal. So we, while we are asking LLM itself, we should tell it that, hey, give me a SQL query by fetching columns only from the schema, don't create new columns. For
Mm-hmm.
different problems, whatever the problems I have mentioned, there are individual solutions which the team is working on. But the ultimate thing is, um, uh, giving the relevant context for the particular LLM. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so which you can find it here as well. So how to harden uh, the model itself, how better it can be hardened, so that it is giving better accurate results. Okay, so in
Yeah,
this, if you
I think
see
if
that,
you kind of go through that white paper, I mean, read it, understand the beauty of it, the kind of
exactly,
research they have done, their outcomes, I think that would give a more clear picture if you really want to go one or two layers behind the scenes of the Copilot and see what
exactly,
exactly happening.
yeah, yeah. And one other reason is, um, we can use Copilot, but only if we are able to understand the underlying nuances, something like this, we will be able to create a production ready application. Right now, many POCs, many applications are getting created, but everything is on the POC level. Very less projects are moving to the production level because of this accuracy problem. I'm not just talking about this natural language to SQL. Many AI
Mhm.
projects, I mean, with respect to even Copilot as well. So we just need to go to the underlying thing and see it from the some both from the bird's eye view and also from the magnified view as well.
Definitely, very true. So on that, we have one more question. I think they're asking, do you also give Akash wanted to know, could you give us a business context or how does it get the business context question? So will the Zoho example kind of suffice for it, or would you like to give another example?
Yeah. Business context, again, it is about mentioning on the high level, like when you tell what this table is all about, right? This is one way. Maybe I don't know how Zoho has designed. It might have created a layer on the data level itself. Like it might be fetching different set of information. If I go over this table, it has different uh, levels of information. There is description. You can, apart from synonym, you can give description as well. So I'm not very sure about how Zoho does, but what you can do with the LLM, like if you are
Mhm.
picking up Llama or any model to tweak this, to tweak it for the natural language to SQL means, you can train it from the scratch itself. Hey, this is the context of this. This is your context, and this is my business. This is the set of rules which I have. This is the security layer, and all those things. You should be training it from scratch.
All right. Okay, I think we're almost done with the questions. And Dinesh, thank you so much for being on the show. glad to have you. Definitely, today's topic is one of my favorite topic because it kind of went very deep into the Copilot side. So, looking forward for more sessions or more analysis of white paper. Definitely would love to have you again. So, audience, if you're really interested to have some discussion on some of the white papers, or if you want to know more about it, please do let us know in the comment. And thank you so much, Dinesh. Glad to have you on the Copilot Chronicle series. And Paraharsha, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, I do remember you from the Global Copilot Summit, Hyderabad. Glad to see you on the show. Looking forward for more shows and more meets with you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Rashmita, for being a great host. And yeah, good evening, everyone.
Thank you for the opportunity, Kamal.